The world may be standing at the edge of another dangerous moment, one that could change the balance of the Middle East overnight. Reports are emerging that 5,000 elite U.S. paratroopers have been rushed to Qatar, and the message behind this sudden move is sending shockwaves across the globe. Military aircraft flying through the night, rapid deployments, strategic bases on high alert. These are not routine movements, they are signals. Signals that tensions between the United States and Iran may be reaching a critical point. But behind the headlines, behind the military strategies and political decisions, there is another reality, one that rarely gets the same attention. The reality of ordinary people, families, mothers, fathers, and children whose lives can change in a single moment when the shadow of war begins to grow. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at a major breaking development that has captured global attention. According to multiple defense reports, approximately 5,000 U.S. elite paratroopers have been rapidly deployed to Qatar. These troops belong to highly trained airborne units capable of responding within hours to emerging crises anywhere in the world. This sudden movement has immediately raised serious questions among analysts and governments worldwide. Why now? Why such a large force? And what exactly is happening behind the scenes in the Middle East? To understand the significance of this deployment, we first need to understand the growing tensions between the United States and Iran. For years, the relationship between these two nations has been fragile, marked by political disagreements, military incidents, economic sanctions, and deep strategic rivalry. Recently, those tensions appear to be intensifying. Reports of military build-ups, naval movements in the Gulf region, and increased intelligence monitoring have created an atmosphere of uncertainty. Every movement is being closely watched by governments, military experts, and civilians across the region. Qatar, where these U.S. troops are reportedly being deployed, plays a crucial strategic role in the Middle East. It hosts one of the most important American military installations in the region, the massive Al Udeid Air Base. This base serves as a central command hub for U.S. air operations across the Middle East. From here, surveillance missions, air defense coordination, and rapid response operations can be launched within minutes. The arrival of 5,000 elite paratroopers is not a small development. Airborne forces are specifically trained for rapid deployment during emergencies. They are capable of parachuting into conflict zones, securing critical locations, protecting strategic facilities, and responding to sudden threats. Their presence signals that military planners are preparing for multiple possibilities. However, as discussions about military strategy and geopolitical power dominate the headlines, it is important to pause and remember something deeply human. Whenever tensions rise between powerful nations, it is rarely the leaders who suffer the most. It is the civilians. The mothers who worry every night about the safety of their children. The fathers who fear losing their homes, their jobs, and their futures. And most heartbreakingly, the children who have no understanding of politics, borders, or international disputes. Yet they often carry the heaviest burden when conflict erupts. Across the Middle East, millions of families already live with memories of war. Entire generations have grown up hearing the sound of sirens, watching the sky with fear, and wondering whether tomorrow will bring peace or more uncertainty. For a child, the world should be a place of learning, play, and dreams. But in regions touched by conflict, childhood can quickly turn into survival. Schools close, hospitals struggle. Families are forced to leave everything behind in search of safety. Toys are replaced with emergency bags. Bedtime stories are replaced with the distant echoes of explosions. These are the invisible costs of geopolitical conflict. While military deployments are often explained in terms of strategy and security, the ripple effects reach far beyond military bases and government offices. Entire communities can be affected within days. If tensions between the United States and Iran continue to escalate, the consequences could extend far beyond the borders of these two nations. The Middle East is one of the most strategically sensitive regions in the world. Any conflict here could influence global energy markets, international trade routes, and the stability of neighboring countries. More importantly, it could put millions of civilians at risk. The deployment of elite paratroopers may be intended as a precaution, a show of readiness rather than a signal of immediate conflict. Military analysts often describe such deployments as a way to deter escalation, demonstrating strength in the hope that it prevents confrontation rather than triggering it. But even precautionary movements carry weight. When military aircraft begin transporting thousands of troops, the message is clear. Governments are preparing for serious possibilities. For families living in the region, these developments are not just political news stories. They are deeply personal. Imagine waking up and hearing that foreign troops are arriving nearby. Imagine watching the news and realizing that tensions between powerful nations are rising once again. Imagine trying to explain to a young child why their parents suddenly look worried. These are the moments that shape the emotional reality of people living in areas where geopolitical tensions are high. Children, in particular, absorb the fear and uncertainty around them. Even if they do not fully understand what is happening, they sense the anxiety in their parents' voices, the tension in conversations, and the sudden changes in daily life. And yet, despite everything, families continue to hope. Hope that diplomacy will prevail. Hope that leaders will find ways to reduce tensions rather than escalate them. Hope that the next generation will not have to inherit the conflicts of the past. History has shown us that war is rarely simple. It is not just a clash of armies. It is a chain reaction of human consequences. Hospitals become overwhelmed. Schools close. Food supplies become uncertain. Families are displaced. And children grow up carrying memories no child should have to experience. These realities are why many humanitarian organizations around the world constantly call for restraint, dialogue, and peaceful solutions whenever tensions begin to rise. Diplomacy may not always make dramatic headlines like military deployments do, but in many ways, diplomacy is the most powerful tool humanity has to prevent suffering. Every successful negotiation, every de-escalation agreement, and every peaceful resolution prevents countless invisible tragedies. As global audiences watch the situation unfold, it is important to approach these developments with awareness and empathy. The movements of troops and military assets may dominate the news cycle, but the true measure of stability lies in whether communities remain safe, whether children continue to go to school, whether families can sleep at night without fear, whether hospitals remain places of healing instead of emergency shelters. The coming days and weeks may reveal more about why these 5,000 elite U.S. paratroopers have been deployed to Qatar. Governments and defense officials will likely continue monitoring the situation carefully. Strategic analysts will debate the implications. Political leaders will issue statements, but beyond the discussions of power and strategy, the world must continue remembering the human dimension of conflict. Because every geopolitical crisis ultimately touches real lives. Somewhere in the Middle East tonight, a child may be asking their parents why the news keeps talking about rising tensions. Somewhere a family may be watching the sky and hoping that tomorrow brings calm instead of conflict. These quiet moments rarely appear in headlines, yet they represent the true stakes of international crises. The hope shared by millions around the world is simple. That strength will lead to stability, not escalation. That preparation will lead to prevention, and that diplomacy will ultimately guide nations away from paths that bring suffering to innocent people. For now, the situation remains developing. The presence of thousands of highly trained paratroopers in Qatar is a powerful reminder that global security remains fragile. But it is also a reminder of something else, that the world is watching, and that the voices calling for peace, stability, and protection of civilians are louder and more important than ever. Because at the end of the day, the greatest victory any nation can achieve is not domination on the battlefield, but the protection of human life. And the greatest responsibility of the international community is to ensure that children everywhere grow up in a world defined not by fear, but by hope. As this story continues to unfold, we will keep following every development closely and bringing you the latest updates with clarity and responsibility. Stay informed, stay aware, and most importantly, remember the human stories behind the headlines.